Newly surfaced records show 20 years ago, then private citizen Donald Trump called police in Palm Beach, Florida to say of Jeffrey Epstein, quote, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this." That call appears to contradict the president's claim just months ago he was unaware of Epstein's crimes.
I know nothing about that. They would have announced that a long time ago.
And on Tuesday, the White House insisted what matters is how Trump responded at the time.
He kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his Mar-a-Lago club because Jeffrey Epstein was a creep, and that remains true. And this call, if it did happen, corroborates exactly what President Trump has said from the beginning.
The president's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, said he cut ties with Epstein in 2005. But documents suggest they were in business together as recently as 2014. And before Congress Tuesday, Lutnick admitted he had lunch with Epstein in 2012.
That the names were protected, that the flight logs were incomplete, that the powerful men who frequented Jeffrey Epstein's private island were untouchable. But in February 2026, under extreme bipartisan pressure, the Department of Justice did something no one expected. They dumped over 3 million pages of internal files into the public domain. And what's inside isn't just a list of names. It's a blueprint for how the global elite operated under a completely different set of rules. From the current president of the United States to the world's richest tech moguls and international royalty, these files suggest that people knew what was happening. And for decades, they did nothing. Today, we're going deep. We're looking at the secret FBI interviews, the hidden lists of suspects the DOJ tried to bury, and the specific emails that catch some of the world's most powerful people in what appear to be contradictions.
The president's Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, said he cut ties with Epstein in 2005. But documents suggest they were in business together as recently as 2014. And before Congress Tuesday, Lutnick admitted he had lunch with Epstein in 2012 on the convicted sex offender's island.
My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. I don't recall why we did it.
This isn't speculation. This is what the files say. Let's start with Donald Trump. For years, Trump maintained a consistent public story. He threw Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago the moment he realized Epstein was a, quote, creep. He claimed he had no idea about the crimes. He said he was never really friends with him, but
People yesterday saying that I threw him out of a club. I didn't want anything to do with him. That was many, many years ago. It shows you one thing, that I have good taste, okay? Now, other people, they went all over with him. They went to his island. They went all over the place. He was very well known in Palm Beach. His island, whatever his island was, wherever it is, I was never there. Find out the people that went to the island. But Jeffrey Epstein was not somebody that I respected. I threw him out. In fact, I think the great James Patterson, who's a member of Mar-a-Lago, made a statement yesterday that many years ago I threw him out. I'm not a fan of Jeffrey Epstein.
But a newly unearthed FBI interview from 2019 tells a very different story. The interview was with Michael Reiter, the former Palm Beach police chief who led the original investigation into Epstein. According to the FBI summary, back in July 2006, just as Epstein was first being charged, Trump called Reiter directly. The document quotes Trump as saying, quote, "Thank goodness you're stopping him. Everyone has known he's been doing this. Everyone has known." Think about what that means. If accurate, this appears to directly contradict years of Trump's public denials, where he claimed he had no idea about Epstein's crimes. According to these files, Trump didn't just know. The FBI documented that he reportedly warned the police chief that Epstein's associate Ghislaine Maxwell was, quote, evil. He told investigators he once fled a party with Epstein because teenagers were present, but then investigators found something that didn't match the public story. While Trump's team has claimed he was essentially a whistleblower, internal DOJ emails from January 2020 reveal that Trump flew on Epstein's private jet at least 8 times between 1993 and 1996. On 4 of those flights, Ghislaine Maxwell was documented as being on board. If true, this appears to contradict Trump's 2024 claim that he was, quote, never on Epstein's plane. And then there's the volume. Representative Jamie Raskin, after reviewing unredacted versions of these files, claimed that Donald Trump's name appears more than 1 million times in the documents. More than 1 million times. Raskin even referenced an email from Epstein's own lawyers stating that Trump was a guest at Mar-a-Lago who had never been asked to leave. This directly contradicts the banishment story Trump has told publicly for years. Notice what's consistent here: public denials. But the internal documents tell a different story. The FBI interview also included other details that complicate Trump's narrative. According to the summary, Trump described specific incidents involving Epstein that suggest he witnessed concerning behavior firsthand. He mentioned parties where young women were present in circumstances he found inappropriate. He told investigators about conversations where Epstein made comments about his preferences that Trump claims disturbed him. Yet despite all of this, according to the flight logs, Trump continued to travel with Epstein for years. The question becomes, if Trump knew, as he told the police chief in 2006, why did the flights continue through 1996? Why were there documented visits to Mar-a-Lago after that? And this is where the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. While the public was being told the investigation was over, a veteran Miami Herald reporter named Julie K. Brown dropped a bombshell on February 7, 2026. Brown is the woman who helped bring Epstein down in the first place, and what she revealed shook the entire case wide open again. She reported the existence of a secret 21-page FBI presentation that summarized evidence and allegations against 11 men suspected of wrongdoing related to Epstein's crimes. For over a year, the DOJ denied this list even existed. They told Congress there was no such document. They told the media it was a conspiracy theory. But Brown had sources inside the FBI who confirmed not only did the list exist, but it had been actively suppressed. Who was on it? According to Brown's report, the names included Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and Harvey Weinstein. This wasn't just a list of friends or acquaintances. It was described as a summary of evidence and allegations. The kind of document that would typically lead to further investigation. The kind of document that would justify subpoenas, interviews, forensic analysis. But instead, it was buried. The presentation reportedly included flight log analysis, witness testimony, financial records showing payments, and communications between Epstein and each of the 11 men. Some of the evidence allegedly dated back to the 1990s. Some was as recent as 2018, just months before Epstein's arrest. What makes this particularly significant is the timing. The FBI completed this presentation in early 2020, just after Epstein's death. It was circulated among senior DOJ officials, but no action was taken, no grand jury was convened, no one on the list was called in for questioning. And when journalists started asking about it in 2024, the DOJ claimed it didn't exist. That claim held until Brown's sources provided her with direct evidence. Now the question is, who ordered the suppression and why? Representative Raskin has called for a full investigation into who made the decision to bury the 11-name list. He's introduced a resolution demanding the DOJ hand over all internal communications related to the decision not to pursue those cases. So far, the DOJ has refused, but we're not even at the most disturbing part yet. If the political side of this is complicated, the corporate side is a nightmare. Let's talk about Howard Lutnick, Trump's Commerce Secretary. In October 2025, Lutnick publicly called Epstein, quote, gross, and claimed he severed all ties back in 2005. He gave a dramatic story about seeing a massage table in Epstein's house and vowing never to return. It was a clear, definitive statement. He said it on national television. He repeated it in his Senate confirmation hearing. But according to the files, there are receipts. Emails from December 2012 reportedly show Lutnick reaching out to Epstein to get GPS coordinates for his yacht so he could bring his family, including his wife and 4 kids, to Epstein's private island for lunch. When confronted about this during his Senate confirmation, Lutnick's story appeared to shift. He told senators he only met Epstein 3 times in 14 years. He said the lunch only lasted an hour because his boat happened to be nearby. He claimed it was a coincidence. But the problem is the email. If the December 2012 email is authentic, it suggests planning and coordination, not a casual proximity encounter. You don't ask for GPS coordinates if you're just passing by. You don't bring your entire family to someone's private island if you think they're, quote, gross. And the files suggest this wasn't the only contact. There are reportedly additional emails from 2013 and 2014 where Lutnick and Epstein discussed business opportunities, charity events, and mutual acquaintances. In one email from March 2013, Epstein allegedly thanked Lutnick for introducing him to a European financier who later invested in one of Epstein's shell companies. Lutnick has not publicly addressed these additional emails. His office has declined to comment beyond his Senate testimony, but the pattern is clear. The public story. Minimal contact, severed in 2005, nothing inappropriate. The emails, ongoing relationship, family visits, business introductions, as late as 2014. Then we have Elon Musk. Musk has branded himself as the champion of transparency. He's claimed publicly that he refused Epstein's invites to the island. He's tweeted about it, he's mentioned it in interviews, he's positioned himself as someone who saw through Epstein early. But the emails appear to tell a story of a man who seemed very eager to get there. In November 2012, according to the released files, Epstein asked Musk how many people he was bringing. Musk allegedly replied, quote, probably just Tallulah and me. What day/night will be the wildest party on your island? The wildest party. Those are his alleged words. A month later, on Christmas Day, Musk reportedly emailed Epstein again. The message said, quote, "I really want to hit the party scene in St. Bart's or elsewhere and let loose. A peaceful island experience is the opposite of what I'm looking for. Let loose. Not a business meeting, not a casual visit. Let loose." Epstein even allegedly warned Musk that the, quote, "ratio of men to women on the island might make Musk's then-wife uncomfortable," to which Musk reportedly replied, quote, "Ratio is not a problem." If these emails are authentic, they paint a picture that appears inconsistent with Musk's public statements about refusing to engage with Epstein. But there's more. The files also reportedly include calendar entries from Epstein's assistant showing at least 3 planned visits by Musk to Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2013. One entry from April 2013 notes, quote, "Elon arriving 8 p.m., private dinner, no staff." Another from June 2013 says, quote, "Elon and guest, late evening, car arranged." Musk has claimed he only met Epstein twice, both times at public events. If these calendar entries are accurate, that claim appears to be contradicted by Epstein's own records. When confronted about the emails by reporters in early February 2026, Musk initially denied their authenticity. He called them, quote, "fabricated hit pieces." But when the DOJ confirmed the emails were part of the official file release, Musk deleted his tweets and has not commented further. His lawyers issued a statement saying, quote, "Mr. Musk does not recall the specific communications referenced and maintains he never visited Epstein's island. Notice the language. Does not recall. Not didn't happen. Does not recall." And then there's Bill Gates. According to the files, Epstein described his relationship with Gates as, quote, "ethically unsound" in his own words. In a series of emails from 2013 to 2013 that Epstein reportedly sent to himself, he claimed to be Gates's, quote, "right hand." These weren't emails to other people. They were messages Epstein sent to his own email address, almost like diary entries. In one email from September 2013, Epstein wrote, quote, "BG relies on me for discretion and access. He knows I can open doors no one else can." In another from November 2013, he wrote, quote, "BG asked me to handle the situation quietly. Money transferred as agreed." No context is provided for what situation or what money Epstein was referring to, but the most shocking allegation is this. Epstein claimed in a draft email from December 2013 that Gates, quote, "with tears in his eyes, begged Epstein to provide antibiotics for a sexually transmitted disease he had allegedly contracted from, quote, Russian girls, so he wouldn't give it to his wife, Melinda." This email was never sent. It remained in Epstein's drafts folder. But the fact that Epstein wrote it at all raises questions about what he knew, what he had access to, and what kind of leverage he may have held over people like Gates. When asked about the Epstein connection in 2021, Melinda Gates didn't deny the ties. She described the situation with, quote, "unbelievable sadness." She confirmed that the Epstein connection was a major factor in their divorce. She said, quote, "I made it very clear how I felt about him." But she stopped short of detailing what she knew or when she knew it. The files also reportedly include meeting logs showing Gates visited Epstein's Manhattan townhouse on multiple occasions between 2011 and 2014. At least one visit occurred after Epstein's 2008 conviction for soliciting prostitution from a minor. Gates has acknowledged meeting Epstein, but has said it was strictly for philanthropic fundraising purposes. He's claimed Epstein promised to help him secure donations for global health initiatives, but internal emails from the Gates Foundation, according to the files, show staff members raising concerns about the relationship as early as 2011. One staffer reportedly wrote, quote, "This association poses significant reputational risk and should be reconsidered." Another wrote, quote, "We have been unable to verify any donations that resulted from these meetings." Despite these warnings, the meetings continued for at least 3 more years. What makes this significant is not just individual allegations, it's the consistency of access. Private jets, island visits, repeated correspondence, across politics, finance, and royalty. The pattern is what matters. It's not one person. It's not one visit. It's a network, a system. But even with 3 million pages released, there's evidence of a massive cover-up happening in real time. The DOJ identified 6 million pages but withheld half of them. On February 10, 2026, Representative Ro Khanna and Representative Thomas Massie took to the House floor after visiting a secure DOJ reading room, and what they revealed was stunning. They said the DOJ had redacted the names of 6, quote, "wealthy, powerful men" for, quote, "no apparent reason." No legal justification, no ongoing investigation, no privacy concern that didn't also apply to other names that were released. Just redactions. Kana read the names into the congressional record. Billionaire Leslie Wexner, who was referred to as a, quote, co-conspirator in a 2019 FBI document. Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, CEO of DP World, plus 4 others, Salvatore Nuara, Zurab Mikaladze, Leonik Leonov, and Nicola Caputo. Massey noted that these men were, quote, likely incriminated by their inclusion, and questioned why the FBI was shielding them while releasing the names of victims. Think about that. The victims' names are public, but the names of potentially powerful suspects are redacted. Why? Kana went further. He said that in the secure reading room he saw documents that identified these 6 men in connection with specific incidents, flight logs, financial transactions, witness statements. But when the files were released to the public, those sections were blacked out. He said, quote, the American people deserve to know why wealth and power grant immunity from transparency. Massey added that he found references to at least 3 additional names that were completely removed from the public version. Not redacted, removed, as in entire pages were missing from the released files that were present in the secure version. When asked why, a DOJ spokesperson said only that the removals were made, quote, in the interest of national security, for a case about sex trafficking. That explanation has been met with widespread skepticism from both Democrats and Republicans. Overseas, the scandal is toppling governments. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer fired Peter Mandelson as ambassador to the United States after files reportedly showed Mandelson leaked government secrets to Epstein. The specific documents allegedly included classified intelligence briefings about UK financial regulations and pending trade negotiations. Epstein reportedly forwarded these briefings to at least 3 foreign contacts, including a Russian oligarch with ties to the Kremlin. When confronted, Mandelson initially denied any wrongdoing, but when shown the emails by MI5 investigators, he reportedly admitted to sharing the information but claimed he didn't know Epstein would distribute it further. Starmer called it, quote, an unconscionable betrayal of trust, and removed Mandelson within 48 hours of the revelation. New photos have also surfaced of Prince Andrew kneeling on all fours over an unidentified woman. The photos were reportedly taken at Epstein's Manhattan townhouse in 2004. While the palace tries to distance itself, the pressure for Andrew to cooperate with U.S. investigators has never been higher. Andrew has refused multiple requests for interviews. His lawyers have argued he is protected by diplomatic immunity. But legal experts say that immunity does not extend to criminal investigations unrelated to official duties. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York has indicated they are considering a formal extradition request. If granted, it would be the first time a member of the British royal family has been extradited to face questioning in a foreign criminal investigation. But here's the part that many are calling the most disturbing. Despite the flight logs, the island visits, and the secret suspect lists, the DOJ has announced there will be no more prosecutions. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, who was previously Donald Trump's personal defense lawyer, told the media that we need to separate the, quote, existence of the files from the, quote, ability to prosecute. He said, quote, just because someone's name appears in these documents doesn't mean they committed a crime. That's technically true, but it's also true that no one on the 11-name suspect list has been interviewed, no one has been subpoenaed, no one has been asked to provide testimony under oath. The DOJ's position is that without Epstein alive to testify, and without Ghislaine Maxwell willing to cooperate, there isn't enough evidence to bring charges. But legal experts have pointed out that the files themselves contain witness testimony, financial records, and communications that could form the basis for charges. The decision not to pursue them appears to be a policy choice, not a legal necessity. Meanwhile, Attorney General Pam Bondi has pivoted. She's announced a new investigation, not into Epstein's associates broadly, but into the ties between Epstein and Trump's Democratic adversaries, specifically Bill Clinton. Bondi held a press conference on February 9, 2026, where she said, quote, the American people deserve to know the full extent of Bill Clinton's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. She announced a special task force to review all documents related to Clinton, but when asked if the task force would also review documents related to Trump, Lutnick, or any Republicans, she said, quote, we are focused on where the evidence leads us. The optics are hard to ignore. The Attorney General, appointed by Trump, investigating Trump's political opponents while declining to investigate members of Trump's own administration who appear in the same files. Let that sink in. 3 million pages of evidence, names across the political spectrum, flight logs, emails, FBI interviews, and the message from the Justice Department is, there's nothing more to see here. As Representative Ro Khanna put it, quote, the American people are asking, how are our rich and powerful people living in this country? Based on these 3 million pages, the pattern that emerges is access without accountability, coordination without consequence, power without limits. The question isn't whether these names appear in the files. The question is why accountability seems to disappear the higher you look. If you or someone you know has been affected by sexual abuse, please reach out for help. 1800. Respect or the National Sexual Abuse Support Service are available. Before we close, one quick clarification. Everything in this video is based on public information